Running this channel, I always kind of imagined that I would get to fly some pretty unique aircraft, and that's been the case so far. Never thought that I would get an opportunity to fly an antique, however. EAA, the Experimental Aircraft Association, brought a 1928 Ford TriMotor to Knoxville, and they're gonna let me fly it. But first, let's learn a little bit about the plane from EAA's Bill Thacker, pilot of this incredibly restored living museum exhibit.
Yeah, well, I'm a very fortunate person right now. Probably the luckiest pilot in the world as I get to fly this 1928 Ford TriMotor here in Knoxville all weekend. I have a blast with it. There's actually 9 of us, and we take turns flying it, and this weekend got to be mine. I've been flying the TriMotor for about 9 years now. I've flown several different ones. We go through, this is called a Model 5AT, which is they often call Big Ford, and then there's Little Ford, which is a 4AT, and there's a difference of about 2,000 pounds between them. More fuel. It's a 1928 airplane, of course, it's a very faithful restoration. That said, there's not a lot of 1928 parts on it just because of attrition and through nearly 100 years of flying. But Bill Hara, the Hara Wings and Wheels Museum, bought the airplane several years ago, and at the time it was called the Smooth Skins Ford. And so these, they call them Tin Goose. They have the corrugated skin, very much like the Junkers that you see, that's a German-made airplane. With the smooth skin, it just didn't look right. And so Mr. Hara paid for this restoration. It took like at least 10 years to take it completely apart and redo everything, including putting the corrugated skin back on it, the faithful restoration on the inside with the wood and the sconces that are in it and the curtains and all that, just to make it just like it was in 1928 when it rolled off the serial. It was originally designed to hold 13 people. We're with the Experimental Aircraft Association, EAA, based in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We use this as an outreach to our chapters, and so we tour it basically all year long. With that said, we're also, of course, in Oshkosh during the convention there, the third week of July and into August. We're always there with it then. But you can find us on flytheford.org, and we're flying almost every weekend. It was born in the city of Wichita, and its original mission was to fly between Columbus, Ohio and Wichita for transcontinental air transport. So that's how they ended up with that. Now the museum that actually owns it, the Liberty Aviation Museum, took the liberty on the other side to put the city of Port Clinton because that's where they're based.
Next, Bill and I climb inside to talk about flying the plane, which means we're closer to doing just that.
Well, the avionics that we have is actually older than the airplane. It's a Garmin 496. That's what we use for en route. So we do have that handheld, permanently mounted in here that we use for navigation. We don't have any other navigation. We don't fly the airplane at night. We obviously don't fly it in the weather. We treat it like the historical asset that it is. We've got a couple of comms up there, and we do have ADS-B out, and so we're compliant with everything. We can fly everywhere, but we just choose not to. We treat it well. The airplane, you could almost consider it a proof of concept airplane. This is the very first transport category airplane that was ever designed specifically for people. Henry Ford needed, as his son Edsel needed an airplane that could accomplish the mission that they wanted to do, which was to fly 13 people and to make to chain it together so that they could do coast to coast, in a couple of days versus 10 to 12 that it would have taken a train.
The time has come. The ground crew loads up passengers, and Bill and I move up front. One by one, the thunderous radial engines come to life. They're so loud, in fact, that they keep keying the mics on our headsets, so instead of canceling the noise, it just amplifies it. It gets louder and more awesome as we taxi from the ramp toward the runway. As we taxi, Bill hugs the yoke so it takes some of the pressure off the tailwind so it's easier to steer. A quick check of final, and the 3 motors accelerate with a deafening roar. The power of this plane shows itself quickly, and we're off the ground before the first taxiway. Bill briefed me on flying the plane once more before handing over the controls, and then it's all mine. We start with a couple of shallow S-turns while waiting to make a more substantial one in a minute. I'm smiling, Bill's smiling. I look back to the cabin and everyone else is smiling, and I think that's one of the reasons EAA does this. It brings joy to everyone it comes in contact with. This felt like a blur. While the plane didn't move exceptionally fast, I spent so much of the flight looking inside, marveling at what a unique experience I was getting. We got back toward downtown Island Home Airport, and I sadly returned the controls to Bill. He brought an almost 100-year-old airplane back down to the ground with one of the most buttery smooth landings I've ever experienced. What a treat. Kim unfortunately had to miss this flight because there she is in our Archer getting ready to take off on one of her instrument lessons. And just like that, we're home and it's over.
So did everybody enjoy that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, good.
A huge thanks to EAA and my local Knoxville chapter for bringing this incredible machine to Knoxville. If you'd like to take a ride or fly this beauty yourself, go to AirVenture the third week of July in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, or if you want to see where it is in your area, go to flytheford.org. And thanks to you for watching. Click like and subscribe so that you can join us on upcoming adventures that are guaranteed to be plain delicious.